this Wisconsin Supreme Court election challenge, 4-3, by the way.
That's how close these
This
cases.
was
People
one
need to understand
vote
how
difference,
close these cases
and Wisconsin
are.
flipped.
Yes.
The electoral votes would have flipped in Wisconsin because there were 200,000 plus votes being challenged in this case. Most of those votes were for Joe Biden because they were absentee ballots that went out to people in 2 counties, which are heavily Democratic, and they didn't request those absentee ballots, which you have to under Wisconsin law. And even the justices who are part of this 4-3 majority said it was illegal, said it was fraud, but not enough fraud, and that it was too late. That was challenging the rule book after the game. But let me tell you, folks, go back months, and you will see courts saying, can't challenge this now because you haven't shown any harm yet. So the rule books were challenged. We know the attorneys that were doing it all across the country for months leading up to the election. And all the courts said, for the most part, and not every situation, but for the most part, you can't challenge these now because you haven't actually been harmed. And so you got to wait for the harm. Now, and then the court, 4-3, over 1 vote difference in who won the state of Wisconsin.
Unreal.
So
when you think about
I think that these battles weren't fought all the way out.
That's what I keep telling people.
They were, they have been, and they still are in some states. So there's Wisconsin. So you got to check mark that. We were talking about that was hanging out there. It's not hanging out there anymore. And I don't know that there's any other legal challenges there left in that state. Some of those, there was
a federal court case. There was a federal court case.
There are a bunch by Sidney Powell that are sealed.
There was a Trump appointment.
There's a bunch by Sidney Powell that are under seal, so we don't know a lot about where they are with some of the Dominion issues. But again, these courts that were taking it seriously, they did the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and they put out the election right as the electors were voting in their 10 electoral.
Let's take Tracy's call in Georgia.
Yep. Hey, Tracy, welcome to Jay Secchio Live. You're on the air.
I'm curious about the Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing this Wednesday. Can anything change with regard to the outcome of that?
No, the Senate does not have the power to change the outcome of the election. Congress does. Congress does. So the House, a member of the House and a member of the Senate have to put forward a challenge to electors. They have to do it to they can do it to all the electors in Georgia. You can do it to one elector. You could do it to some of them, and they could do it to each of those 4 states in question: Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Again, you could do this whole Michigan, and you have to have a House member and a Senate member. If one House member, one Senate member contest it, they then must stop their joint session to certify the election and debate it. And then after the debate, they have to have a vote, and the vote would be pretty close probably right now, but. In the Democrats control the House. This is not the same as if you can't get to 270. So there is a way for Congress, but there is not a way for the Senate alone to do it. And right now, realistically speaking, Democrats, even with their slim majority of 10 votes, they're not going to vote to take out Joe Biden's electoral votes.
No.
So it might happen. We might see this move happen where the joint session ends. They have to go into debate. I don't think that's necessarily a bad debate to put these issues out there. And so Rand Paul's thinking about doing it on the Senate side, but it hasn't 100% committed to doing it. You have to have a U.S. Senator also sign on. So it takes one member of the House, one senator. The U.S. Senate alone, they can investigate, they can put the info out there, but they cannot change the outcome of an election. And that's a good thing, by the way. I don't think you want one branch of the Congress to be able to change an outcome of an election, even if you really don't like the outcome. But we'll keep trying to take phone calls and comments as they come in. Let's go to Kenneth in Illinois. This is interesting because I can ask Andy about this. Kenneth, welcome to Jay Secchio Live. You're on the air.
So my question has to do with paper ballots. With all this information about Dominion coming out, I'm wondering if people will want to use paper ballots. But my question is there any focus on that? Because if there aren't enough paper ballots, then people will be forced essentially to use Dominion or provisional
Dominion
ballots.
is used whether or not you mail in or not. It's
a scanner.
It's your scanner. So you might get a paper ballot when you do, and then you vote in electronically, and then you get a paper ballot that scans it in. So it's supposed to be like a 2-step verification.
Right.
That's what happens in Georgia. It happens where I vote too.
Right. You go to the voting machine comes up. It's a computer screen. You press it, and once you finish, it says, "Do you want to change your vote? No, yes, whatever." And then you say "cast ballot," and you push it on the screen, and then a document is printed out, and you take that document and you go to the scanner, and you put it in the scanner, and you better look at that ballot before you put it in the scanner to make sure that it reflects what you put on that screen. I looked at my ballot very carefully to make sure it reflected what I put on the screen. And then once that ballot is scanned, you have cast your ballot.
So there's the answer for you right there. But again, I want to remind you, Senator David Perdue beat John Ossoff with those machines. Stop. If you're a Georgia voter,
Don't not vote.
you better get out there and vote and get 10 more friends to vote. But stop being discouraged. You could definitely win these elections. Republicans were leading in both. So they just need you to show back up again and stop being discouraged.
Let's be realistic. There is an attempt to persuade you to not vote.
Yes.
They want a low turnout because they figure their people will turn out. Georgia voters are discouraged because what happened to the president.
Republican voters, yeah.
They're Republican voters, and therefore don't vote. That would be, first of all, I don't care Republican or Democrat, you should vote. And under those Dominion machines, remember, Purdue won. Loeffler was a different case because there were so many people running for that situation. But
if you add up, I think
Really careful
Loeffler and
here.
Doug Jones, they were winning by they would have 70%. It would have been like a 60% victory.
yes, so let's see what happens. Election voting started today in Georgia. So
Early
get
voting.
out there and early voting. So get out there and vote. That's what we want to encourage you to do.